You have everything you ever wanted, yet you feel absolutely nothing. If you're the man who looks around at his impressive office, his loving family, his expensive watch, and yet feels a cold, hollow knot in his stomach every morning, lying awake at 4 a.m. asking himself, is this truly all there is? Secretly fearing he's missed the entire point of living despite achieving every single goal he ever set. I too once walked that path, pursuing external achievement, believing fame and recognition would bring contentment. I lectured to thousands, published books, yet still felt a subtle disquiet. Then I applied the very law I taught, not for outward gain, but for the inner state of being truly fulfilled. Within 30 days, that gnawing emptiness was absolutely replaced by a profound, unshakable peace, a deep knowing that my true self was already complete. This was the law revealing inner abundance. In this broadcast, I will reveal the single, hidden assumption that absolutely guarantees your internal state will always mirror your external achievements. I will show you the exact mental surgery that shifts your focus from having to being, allowing you to experience profound inner peace and genuine contentment within 30 days. If you continue chasing external validation without this truth, you will spend your life building golden cages, forever restless, never truly fulfilled. Now, let me show you exactly how this works. I'm going to break down the 7 fundamental principles that govern creation and make your imagination the supreme architect of your reality. Each one builds upon the last, revealing a deeper truth about your own divine power. By the end, you will not only understand why your past attempts at change may have faltered, but you will also possess the precise, actionable knowledge of what to do differently tonight, right now, to manifest your deepest desires. Pay very close attention, for the first principle alone will shatter your old perceptions and forever change how you see yourself and the world around you. Story-proof stack. I remember vividly my journey to Barbados in 1948. I had a profound desire to visit my family, but I was without funds. I was residing in New York, lecturing, and the thought of confessing my financial lack to my family was abhorrent to me. My teacher Abdullah had often told me, "Neville, your imagination is God. It is the only reality." I went to Abdullah's study and I confessed my predicament. He looked at me, a direct, piercing gaze, and simply said, "You are in Barbados. Not, you will go to Barbados, or you might go, but you are there." He instructed me to live as if I were already in Barbados. Every night I lay in my bed in New York, closed my eyes, and imagined the familiar smells of the island, the gentle breezes, the warmth of my family's embrace. I walked the streets of Bridgeton in my mind, felt the sand beneath my imaginary feet. For 3 weeks, this was my nightly ritual. One morning, a letter arrived from my brother Victor. Enclosed was a check, far exceeding the cost of passage. It arrived from a source I never anticipated. Furthermore, the ship that was scheduled for the precise date I had chosen in my imagination, the day I wished to depart, was miraculously available. I sailed to Barbados exactly as I had seen it, and the trip was entirely funded by this unexpected bounty. My imagination, vivid and sustained, had manifested the unmanifestable. Subconscious programming, the human mind, in its deepest, most creative aspect, is not merely a recorder of events, it is the originator of events. When I say imagination is God, I mean that the creative power, the very source of all that appears, resides within your own wonderful human imagination. The subconscious mind does not differentiate between a vividly imagined experience and a physically experienced one. It takes your mental images, your felt sensations, and your inner conversations as blueprints for reality. Every thought you entertain, every scene you vividly paint in your mind's eye, is an instruction. It is a command. These commands filter down into the depths of your being, activating dormant potentials and arranging circumstances in the external world to reflect your inner state. Reality, as you perceive it, is merely the outer shell, the physical manifestation of your inner imaginal activity. The mechanism is simple. You impress the subconscious with a specific desire, experienced as fulfilled, and the subconscious, being utterly obedient, constructs the corresponding physical reality. It is a fundamental law, as immutable as gravity. Contrast trap. Most men spend their days reacting to the external world, believing that circumstances dictate their inner state. They say, "I will be happy when I get the money," or "I will feel secure when my situation changes." This is a profound misunderstanding. They wait for the outer world to confirm their inner desire. But the man who truly understands that imagination is God reverses this equation entirely. He knows that his inner state precedes and determines the outer condition. He does not wait for evidence. He creates the evidence by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled within. He lives from the end. He knows that external reality is merely a delayed reflection, a shadow cast by his own inner imaginal light. Let me ask you, have you ever truly considered the implications of this? If your imagination is God, if it is the sole creative power, then what does that make you? You are not merely a human being with an imagination. You are imagination, and therefore you are the operant power in your world. This truth is far more liberating and far more terrifying than any other belief you hold. Story proof stack. I recall another time, early in my teaching career, when I had a desire to speak to larger audiences. My lectures were small, intimate gatherings, which I cherished, but I felt a strong inner pull to reach more souls. I understood the principle of living from the end, but I had to truly apply it to this specific desire. I didn't simply wish for larger audiences. I assumed I already had them. Every night before drifting off to sleep, I would lie in my bed and imagine myself standing before a packed auditorium. I could feel the vibrant energy of hundreds, even thousands, of individuals. I heard their silent affirmation, saw their eager faces, felt the intense atmosphere of shared discovery. I could even smell the faint scent of the old theater where I envisioned myself speaking. I didn't concern myself with how this would happen. I simply dwelled in the state of already having it. This went on for several weeks. Then, a prominent lecturer, whose name was known throughout the city, suddenly fell ill and was unable to fulfill his engagements. I received an unexpected call from his agent, a man I had never met, asking if I could step in to fill the void. The venues were exactly what I had imagined, and the audiences were precisely the size I had assumed. My persistence in the assumption of the wish fulfilled made it a physical fact. Subconscious programming, the law of assumption, is the very bedrock of conscious creation. It operates on the principle that the universe, in its infinite intelligence, responds not to your wanting, but to your being. Your subconscious mind, the fertile soil of creation, does not understand negation. It only understands the presence of a state. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are impressing upon your subconscious mind that this reality already exists. You are telling it, "This is my truth." The subconscious then takes this as an accomplished fact and proceeds to manifest it in your external world by rearranging circumstances, inspiring actions, and opening doors that were previously invisible. It is the mechanism by which the unseen becomes seen. You are literally pulling future events into the present by inhabiting them now in your eye. The very thing that pushes it away. You manifest something, but then you obsess over keeping it or achieving the next thing. This signals a fundamental lack of faith, a vibration of not having, even as you claim to live from the end. This is why so many successful men achieve their deepest goals, only to find that hollow ache return, because they were clinging to the outcome, rather than residing in the state that produced it. I saw this in a prominent industrialist I knew, a man of immense wealth, a true titan of industry. He had built his empire from nothing, using his powerful imagination. Yet he was tormented by fear of loss, of competition. His achievements, though grand, brought him no peace, only a new form of anxiety. He would come to me, asking, "Neville, I have all I ever wanted. Why do I not feel satisfied? Why do I still fear?" I told him, "You are clinging to the shadow, not the substance. You have manifested the thing, but you have not become the state of security and abundance." I instructed him to practice what I called divine indifference. Not indifference to the desire itself, but indifference to the timing and the specific form of its manifestation. To assume the state of absolute security, of unwavering abundance, to feel the profound peace that comes from knowing all is well, regardless of external market fluctuations or competitors. To release his grip on the outcome because he had become the inner state of fulfillment, he was to say, I am secure, I am abundant, I am peaceful, and then, crucially, feel it. When he felt tempted to check stock prices or worry about a rival, he was to return to that inner feeling of serene, unshakable security. He ceased to manipulate the external and instead focused entirely on maintaining his inner state. Within weeks, the tension visibly left his shoulders. His decisions became clearer, more intuitive. He began to operate not from fear, but from an inner knowing. His empire not only stabilized, but expanded in unexpected ways, all while he found the profound peace he had truly sought. Attachment to the specific outcome or the timeline signals to your subconscious and thus to the universe that you do not yet have it. It maintains the state of wanting rather than being. Divine indifference, paradoxically, is born from a deep, unshakable knowing that the wish is already fulfilled within. It's the peace of knowing you've posted the letter and it will arrive. You aren't constantly checking the mailbox with anxiety. You're living your life knowing it's on its way. This release allows the subconscious to operate unimpeded, to bring forth the manifestation in the most perfect and natural way. Here's the profound difference. The man who is chasing, who is attached, is always asking, when will it be mine? His focus is on the absence, but the master, who practices divine indifference, asks, what shall I create next? Because he knows it is already his. He is content in the knowing, not just in the receiving. This is a critical distinction that elevates you from a mere manifester to a master creator. Most men still chase external validation, desperately trying to prove their worth through achievements, only to find the next achievement brings a deeper emptiness. But the master cultivates an inner state of wholeness, from which all achievements flow effortlessly, and in which he finds profound, lasting contentment. Say this aloud every morning for the next 30 days, feeling the lightness it brings. I am whole and complete in my inner being. I release all need for external validation, for I am already fulfilled. The inner mirror, unmasking the holographic self. Now we approach the very heart of the hollow ache that troubles so many of you. You have the perfect life, the achievements, the status, but if you stare at the ceiling at 3 a.m. feeling nothing, feeling empty, it is because your outer achievements are a mirror, not a source, of your inner state. And if the mirror reflects emptiness, it reveals a profound misidentification within your own consciousness. In my early days, before Abdullah, I pursued success with a relentless ambition. I wanted recognition, I wanted financial freedom, I wanted to be a respected speaker. I achieved these things one by one. I would taste the victory, feel a fleeting surge of satisfaction, and then, almost immediately, the hunger for more would return, stronger, more urgent. I remember one evening, after a particularly well-received lecture, I returned to my room, and instead of joy, I felt a deep, unsettling void. I had achieved what I had set out to do, yet I felt an even greater sense of aloneness, of unfulfillment. It was a terrifying realization. The external validation I chased did not fill the inner emptiness, it only highlighted it. This was a critical turning point. I realized that the relentless pursuit of more was the root of perpetual dissatisfaction. My outer world, with all its glittering achievements, was simply projecting my inner belief that I was not yet enough, not yet complete. The subconscious mind is a perfect mirror. It doesn't judge. It simply reflects what you are at your deepest level. If your inner assumption is one of lack, of seeking, of a future happiness that is always just one more thing away, then that is precisely what your outer world will echo, even in the midst of immense success. The hollowness is not a failure of the external world to satisfy you. It is the perfect reflection of an inner state that believes contentment is a destination rather than a state of being. Here's the shocking truth. You've been conditioned to believe that happiness is something you get from the outside, like a prize, an acquisition, a trophy you place on a shelf. This is the grand delusion that keeps men chasing, forever unsatisfied. But the man who understands the inner mirror knows that he doesn't get happiness, he becomes it. He recognizes that all achievements, all external successes are simply the outflowing expression of an already existing inner state of fulfillment. He knows that if he feels empty amidst abundance, it means he has successfully manifested the abundance, but has failed to become the inner state of contentment that should accompany it. The work then is not to get more, but to be more, to occupy the state of absolute peace and fulfillment first. This is why your pursuit of external achievements, however grand, has often triggered the deepest sense of emptiness. You built the perfect house, but you brought the empty self inside. You must shift your focus from manipulating the reflection to perfecting the source. The I am, that is the very core of your being, that is the source, and it must be assumed as content, as fulfilled, before anything else. Advanced application, troubleshooting why techniques fail. You have diligently applied the principles. You have created your scene, felt the feeling, persisted, perhaps even revised. Yet the deep contentment you seek still eludes you, or your manifestations stutter. Here's why, and precisely how to troubleshoot. The first mistake, and the most insidious, is wavering belief disguised as being practical. You imagine your desired state, then you immediately start calculating the odds, checking the bank balance, or recalling past failures. This is like planting a seed, then immediately poisoning the soil. Your subconscious receives conflicting instructions. To remedy this, you must develop an ironclad mental diet. Every single time a thought of doubt, lack, or limitation enters your mind, you must immediately cancel it and replace it with a thought consistent with your wish fulfilled. This takes vigilance, but it is non-negotiable. The second pitfall is focusing on the how with anxiety. As I said, the subconscious knows the way. When you obsess over the specific bridge of incidents, you inject fear and control into the process, disrupting the flow. If your mind is racing, why? How will this happen? Who will help me? What steps must I take? You are actively preventing the effortless unfolding. The solution here is conscious surrender. After your imaginal act, state aloud, "It is done." The how is revealed in divine order. Then, when anxious thoughts of how arise, consciously redirect your attention to the feeling of the end, the feeling of contentment. Rest in that knowledge. A third, more subtle trap is seeking external validation for your inner state. You perform the ritual, you assume the feeling, but then you immediately scan your environment for evidence that it's working. If you don't see immediate proof, your faith falters. This, again, is putting the cart before the horse. The external world is the effect, never the cause. Your inner state precedes the outer manifestation. To correct this, embrace the knowing that your internal shift is the only reality. The outer world must conform. When you find yourself seeking outward signs, whisper, "I am the operant power. My inner conviction is the only proof needed." Most men will continue to struggle with these errors, caught in a cycle of striving and disappointment, feeling that hollow ache deepen with every unconfirmed expectation. But you, now equipped with this deeper understanding, can sidestep every single one of these pitfalls. You are no longer a victim of circumstances. You are the master of your inner world, and thus your outer reality, the feeling of being. The true source of contentment now, to truly fill that hollow ache, to cultivate the profound inner peace and genuine contentment you seek, we must master the feeling of being. This is beyond simply feeling the joy of a specific manifestation. It is the unwavering, ever-present state of I am fulfilled, I am complete, I am utterly content. It has nothing to do with external circumstances, for it is the very essence of your divine identity. There was a period in my life, after many successful lectures and book sales, when the external world was undeniably perfect. I had everything I had once desired, yet that nagging sense of something missing, a subtle restlessness, persisted. I realized I was still unconsciously defining my contentment by my achievements. Abdullah, in his quiet wisdom, pointed me back to the core of my being. He said, "Neville, you are not merely a human being with a spirit. You are spirit, and you manifest a human experience. Find the I am that needs nothing, seeks nothing, desires nothing, for it is the source of all." This was a revelation. I began to practice not just imagining what I wanted, but simply being the feeling of pure contentment. I would sit in silence, not focusing on a scene, but on the feeling of absolute peace, of being utterly whole, of desiring nothing more, because all that is good, all that is joyous, all that is eternal, resided within my own consciousness. I would repeat, I am contentment, I am peace, I am joy, and then I would simply feel it, letting the sensation wash over me until it became my natural state. This was the exact feeling state I had promised you. This practice, distinct from creating specific manifestations, slowly, profoundly filled the void. The 3 a.m. restlessness faded. The pursuit of more dissolved into a quiet confidence, an effortless knowing that all was truly well. Imagination. This is why you must always assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, for feeling is the language of the subconscious. Contrast trap. Most men mistakenly believe that to manifest, they must try to make something happen. They engage in strenuous effort, forcing situations, endlessly planning the how. They ask, how can I get this? And rack their brains for solutions, which only reinforces the absence of their desire. This is a futile approach. But the man who understands the law of assumption knows he doesn't try to make it happen. He assumes it is happening, or more accurately, has already happened. He lives from the end, not towards the end. He identifies with the state of already possessing his desire, and in that identification, the pathways to its manifestation unfold effortlessly and naturally. Hear me now. This is not mere positive thinking. This is a profound shift in consciousness, a radical reorientation of your entire being. What if I told you that every single thing you desire already exists as a possibility, and your only task is to assume it into being? This is the grand secret, the one which eludes so many. This affirmation serves to deeply anchor your new identity as a conscious creator. It's not just words, it's a declaration of your inherent divine power, a statement of truth that resonates with the deepest part of your being. When you speak this, you are not hoping, you are proclaiming. Say this with me, aloud, with absolute conviction, knowing it is your birthright. I am the assumed wish fulfilled. I am living from the end. My inner world creates my outer reality. Repeat this throughout your day. Whenever doubt or fear creeps in, let it be a constant whisper of truth in your soul, reminding you of who you truly are. Story proof stack. There was a young woman I knew, deeply troubled by a persistent illness that doctors had deemed chronic. She had tried every conventional remedy, every specialist, and her hope was dwindling. She came to me, desperate, feeling utterly trapped by her physical condition. I told her, feeling is the secret. You must feel yourself into the state of perfect health. At first, she found this difficult. Her body was in constant pain, her mind filled with anxiety. I instructed her to ignore the outward evidence and instead, every night before sleep, to imagine a simple act that a perfectly healthy person would do. She chose walking barefoot in the grass, feeling the cool blades between her toes, the warmth of the sun on her skin, experiencing the lightness and ease of her healthy body. She would even imagine the simple joy of rising from bed effortlessly, without pain. She persisted, despite the daily challenge of her illness. She began to focus not on the absence of sickness, but on the presence of health. Within a few weeks, a subtle shift occurred. Her pain began to recede, her energy returned. Her doctors were astonished. Her imagination, impregnated with the feeling of health, had reorganized her physical being. She walked away from her illness entirely healed, because she had learned to impress her subconscious with the feeling of her desire fulfilled. Subconscious programming. Why is feeling so crucial? Because feeling is the language that the subconscious mind understands and responds to most readily. Your conscious mind can entertain a thought, but it is the emotional charge, the feeling behind that thought, which gives it creative power. The subconscious is not a logical entity, it is a feeling entity. It is the fertile ground that receives the seed of your desire, but only if that seed is imbued with the moisture of emotion. When you feel yourself into the state of the wish fulfilled, you are sending a clear, unambiguous signal to your deeper self. This is real. This is already accomplished. This feeling is the glue that binds your intention to its manifestation. It is the vibration that resonates with the universe, drawing corresponding experiences and circumstances to you. A mere intellectual understanding of your desire is insufficient. It must be felt as true, as present, as real, in order to activate the creative power within. Contrast trap. Most men make the mistake of intellectualizing their desires, endlessly planning and strategizing, or simply wishing for things to be different. They say, "I want to be wealthy," but they feel the burden of debt. They say, "I want love," but they feel the loneliness of their current situation. Their words and their feelings are in direct opposition, creating a creative stalemate. But the man who understands that feeling is the secret aligns his inner state with his outer desire. He knows that his words are secondary to his emotional conviction. He cultivates the feeling of wealth, the feeling of love, the feeling of health, regardless of external appearances. He allows his heart to lead his imagination, knowing that this emotional resonance is the key to unlocking the power of the subconscious. Listen to me carefully. If you are not feeling the reality of your desire, you are not actually creating it. You are merely wishing. And wishing, my friends, is a waste of your divine power. This is the truth that will set you free from endless struggle and bring you into effortless creation. Story proof stack. I encountered a gentleman once whose life was plagued by a singular event from his past. He had made a grave mistake in his youth, a business decision that had cost him his inheritance and brought him shame. For decades he carried this burden. It colored every aspect of his present, and he believed it irrevocably defined him. He was convinced that his past dictated his present and his future, a common belief challenge I observe. I taught him the principle of revision. I explained that the past is not a fixed, immutable thing. It is simply a story we continue to tell ourselves, a memory we continue to perpetuate in our imagination. I instructed him every night to revisit that specific event in his imagination, not to relive it as it happened, but to revise it, to rescript the scene, to imagine a positive outcome, a wise decision made, a moment of triumph instead of regret. He was to immerse himself in this revised scene, feeling the relief, the pride, the joy of the new outcome. He did this for several weeks. He experienced profound inner peace, a lightness he hadn't felt in decades. Then, to his astonishment, his present circumstances began to shift. A forgotten legal clause related to the very property he believed lost was rediscovered, leading to the unexpected recovery of a substantial portion of his inheritance. His entire demeanor changed. The man who believed his past defined him was now free. His revision had literally rewritten his personal history and its ripple effects in his present. Subconscious programming. The past, as you perceive it, is not a solid, unchangeable sequence of events that exists independently of your consciousness. It is a living, breathing aspect of your imagination, constantly being sustained or altered by your present state of consciousness. When you revise an event, you are not merely changing a memory. You are literally rewriting the script of your personal history in the only place it truly exists, your imagination. Your subconscious mind, which knows no linear time, accepts this revised scene as the true event. It then proceeds to rearrange not only your present state, but also the future implications that flowed from the original event. This is why revising the past can have such a profound and immediate effect on your current circumstances and future trajectory. You are cutting off the negative roots of past experiences and planting new, vibrant seeds of preferred outcomes. You are clearing away the debris of regret and making way for new possibilities. Contrast trap. Most men are prisoners of their past. They continuously recount their misfortunes, replaying their mistakes, and believing that their history is a chain that binds them to their current limitations. They feel guilt, shame, or resentment, thereby perpetuating the very conditions they despise. This is a profound belief challenge that holds many back. But the man who understands revision knows that he possesses the divine power to transform his past. He realizes that by revising an undesirable event, he not only liberates himself from its negative influence, but also actively changes its future repercussions. He uses his imagination not to flee from the past, but to redeem it, to reshape it, and thereby to reshape his entire reality. He steps into his true power as the operant factor in his own life. Have you ever truly grasped the monumental implications of this? If you can revise your past, if you can literally change what has been, then what limitations could possibly remain on your ability to create your future? The answer is none. This is the ultimate freedom. This affirmation is a powerful command to your subconscious mind, declaring your absolute authority over your reality. It is a direct instruction for conscious creation, rooted in the understanding that you are the sole operant power. Speak this with unwavering authority, as a king giving a decree. I command my imagination to revise my past and sculpt my ideal future. I am the master of my story, here and now. Use this before any act of revision and let its truth resonate through your entire being. This will strengthen your resolve and ensure your intent is clear. Story proof stack. I had a student, a struggling playwright, who desired to have his work produced on Broadway. He was a talented writer, but his scripts were continually rejected and he was sinking into despair. He had heard my lectures, but his application lacked persistence. I explained to him that it wasn't enough to assume once. He had to persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. I told him to imagine, vividly, hearing the applause, seeing his name in lights, feeling the thrill of opening night. But crucially, he had to sustain this feeling, to return to it again and again, especially when the external world presented evidence to the contrary. He committed to this. Every day, he would find moments to enter the state of the successful playwright. He felt the weight of the program in his hand, heard the murmurs of appreciation from the audience during intermission. He was so immersed that he even started to walk with the bearing of a man whose dreams had been realized. Weeks turned into months. Rejection letters still arrived, but he refused to let them deter him. He always returned to his inner scene. Then, nearly a year after he began, a small independent theater company, renowned for taking risks, stumbled upon his script. They loved it. They secured funding, and within 6 months, it was produced, not on Broadway initially, but in a prominent off-Broadway theater that quickly gained immense critical acclaim. The buzz led to a Broadway transfer 6 months later. His persistence, his unwavering focus on the wish fulfilled, made the impossible inevitable. Subconscious programming persistence is not merely repetition, it is the steadfast maintenance of a state of consciousness. The subconscious mind, while powerful, requires consistent impression to fully manifest a desire. Think of it as planting a seed. You wouldn't plant a seed and then dig it up every day to see if it's growing, would you? You plant it, water it, and trust in the process, knowing that growth, though unseen, is happening beneath the surface. Similarly, when you assume the wish fulfilled, you plant that seed. Persistence is the act of continually watering and nurturing that seed with your attention and feeling. Every time you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you reinforce the impression on your subconscious. You strengthen the magnetic field that draws your desire to you. Any wavering, any doubt, any reversion to the old state of desiring or lacking introduces conflicting instructions to the subconscious, thereby delaying or preventing manifestation. The universe, through your subconscious, is constantly reflecting your dominant state of being. Contrast trap. Most men attempt to manifest something once or twice, see no immediate results, and then abandon their efforts, concluding that the law doesn't work for them, a common belief challenge. They confuse a momentary wish with a sustained assumption. They fluctuate between belief and doubt, sending mixed signals to their subconscious. But the man who understands the power of persistence knows that true creation requires unwavering faith in his inner reality, regardless of external appearances. He knows that the time it takes for a manifestation to appear is directly proportional to the firmness of his conviction and his consistent occupation of the desired state. He does not ask, when will it happen? He knows it has happened, and he persists in that knowing, recognizing that the physical unfolding is merely a matter of time and the natural consequence of his inner work. I've shared with you the fourth dimension, where all possibilities reside as facts. Do you see now that your persistence is what collapses these infinite possibilities into your chosen reality? It is the real secret to consistent manifestation, not fleeting hope, but unwavering, constant focus. Story-proof stack. Let me illustrate the reality of the fourth dimension with a personal experience. During the period when I was determined to leave for Barbados, the one I spoke of earlier, I faced a significant obstacle. My contract for lecturing in New York was not yet completed, and I felt I could not honorably leave before its conclusion. Yet my desire to be in Barbados was paramount. I needed to be released from my contract without penalty, something that seemed impossible. I remembered Abdullah's teachings on the multidimensional nature of reality, that all possibilities coexist. I lay in bed, and instead of just imagining Barbados, I began to envision myself in a state of freedom from my current obligations, free to travel. I didn't see how I was released, only the fact of my release. I would hear the words, "Neville, you are free to go." I felt the lightness, the absence of contractual burden. I knew that in this fourth dimension, this realm of infinite possibility, there existed a version of me already released. My task was to inhabit that version. The next day, completely out of the blue, my booking agent called. He informed me that the hall where I was lecturing had unexpectedly closed for renovations, immediately cancelling all contracts without penalty. I was indeed free. This was not coincidence. It was the physical manifestation of a state I had inhabited in the multidimensional reality of my imagination. Subconscious programming, the fourth dimension, is not some distant, mystical place. It is the realm of your imagination, the plane of consciousness where all possible states of being, all possible futures, and all possible pasts exist simultaneously as living facts. It is the infinite repository of all that is and all that could be. Every desire you hold, every possibility you can conceive, already exists in this multidimensional reality. Your physical three-dimensional world is merely a shadow, a specific projection of a chosen state from this vast fourth dimension. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are not creating something from nothing. You are selecting a specific state from the infinite possibilities available in the fourth dimension and drawing it into your three-dimensional experience. You are shifting your consciousness from one state of being to another, and the physical world, being an obedient reflection, must conform to this new inner reality. This is why you never need to concern yourself with the how. The how is merely the bridge of incidents that leads from your current three-dimensional state to the dimensional manifestation of your chosen fourth-dimensional reality. Contrast trap. Most men are confined to their perception of the three-dimensional world, believing that what they see with their physical eyes is the only reality. They struggle against external limitations, believing circumstances are fixed and unyielding, another common belief challenge. They try to manipulate the physical world, which is merely an effect, rather than engaging with the cause. But the man who understands the reality of the fourth dimension knows that the physical world is fluid and malleable, a direct consequence of his inner imaginal activity. He doesn't fight against present facts. He transcends them by entering the state of the wish fulfilled in the boundless realm of his imagination. He knows that if it exists in his imagination, it must exist as a potential fact, awaiting his conscious occupancy to become physical. Think about it. If all possibilities already exist, waiting for you to claim them, then your power is truly limitless. What seemingly impossible desire are you currently denying yourself because you believe reality is external and fixed? You are being offered a key to unlock any door. This affirmation describes the dynamic process of creation, empowering you to consciously engage with your imaginal abilities. It grounds your identity in action and consequence. Say this with complete conviction, owning the power of your daily inner work. My sustained imaginal acts create my physical reality. My focus on the end brings forth my desires. My inner world is the blueprint for my outer world. Practice this as you go about your day, especially when you are consciously creating through imagination. Let it be a reminder of your active participation in shaping your destiny. Story-proof stack. I once worked with a young artist who was convinced he was not good enough. This destructive belief, a deeply ingrained belief challenge, paralyzed his creativity and prevented him from sharing his remarkable talent with the world. He harbored a profound desire to be recognized, to exhibit his art, but his inner critic was deafening. I taught him that the true creative act is not merely painting a canvas, but entering the state of the wish fulfilled. I told him, you must live as the artist whose work is admired, whose exhibitions are sought after, whose name is spoken with respect. I urged him to go beyond just imagining a scene. He had to become that person. Every morning he would wake up, and for a full hour he would sit in silence, closing his eyes, and feel what it was like to be that recognized artist. He'd feel the satisfaction of a successful opening, the joy of discussing his work with eager patrons, the quiet confidence of knowing his talent was appreciated. He walked differently, spoke differently, even dressed differently, all in alignment with this assumed identity. He lived entirely from that state. Within a few short months, a small gallery, one he had previously thought unreachable, saw some of his preliminary sketches and was captivated. They offered him a solo exhibition. The show was a tremendous success, and within a year, his art was being displayed in prestigious galleries, exactly as he had assumed. His transformation began not with a brushstroke, but with the profound act of inhabiting the state of his wish fulfilled. Subconscious programming, the state of the wish fulfilled, is the ultimate creative act because it encompasses all the principles we have discussed. It is not merely an imagined scene. It is a complete immersion of your entire being, your thoughts, your feelings, your assumptions, your very identity into the reality of your desire, as if it were already accomplished. When you dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, you are consciously occupying a specific frequency of being. You are aligning yourself entirely with the outcome you desire. This sends the clearest, most powerful signal to your subconscious mind. It tells the universe, this is who I am. This is my reality. This state of being activates the law of attraction, the law of assumption, and every other creative mechanism, drawing circumstances, people, and events into your experience that perfectly mirror your inner state. It is the end of striving and the beginning of effortless receiving. This state is where you fully merge with your divine self, recognizing that your outer world is merely a projection of your inner conviction. Contrast trap. Most men approach manifestation as a fragmented process, a bit of wishing here, a moment of visualization there, interspersed with long periods of doubt, worry, and focused attention on what is not present. They try to get something from a place of lack, which is utterly futile. They believe that their identity is fixed and they must achieve something to change it. But the man who understands the state of the wish fulfilled knows that he must become his desire first. He recognizes that the ultimate creative act is to fully inhabit the consciousness of the person who already possesses what he seeks. He doesn't merely visualize, he becomes the visualization. He knows that his identity is malleable and infinitely powerful, and that by assuming the state of the wish fulfilled, he commands all of creation to conform to his new, chosen reality. This is the profound difference between merely wanting and truly creating. You've wondered about the ultimate secret to consistent manifestation, haven't you? It is this, becoming the state of the wish fulfilled. It's not about what you do, but about who you are. This is the absolute truth that will allow you to consciously design your entire reality. Implementation ritual. Now, let's put these profound truths into immediate action. Here's exactly how you will apply these principles tonight to begin consciously designing your entire reality, eliminate past regrets, and manifest your deepest desires consistently. This is your implementation ritual, a sacred practice you will integrate into your life. 1. Define your desire. Be utterly clear. What is the one thing you desire above all else right now? Write it down precisely. Make it specific, yet grand enough to thrill you. 2. Craft your scene. Create a short, vivid, living scene that implies the fulfillment of this desire. This is not about the process, but the end result. Who would be with you? What would you hear? What would you see? What would you feel? Make it personal, make it believable to you. Perhaps it's a friend congratulating you, or feeling a ring on your finger, or hearing the words, "It's yours." 3. Enter the state of the wish fulfilled. Tonight, as you lie in bed, just before the threshold of sleep, close your eyes, relax your body entirely. Now, begin to feel yourself into your chosen scene. Hear the sounds, see the sights, and most importantly, feel the emotions of your desire already being a present reality. Feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude. This is not mere visualization, it is habitation. Dwell in this state, immersing your entire being until you lose consciousness and drift into sleep from within that feeling. This is the moment you impress the subconscious with certainty. 4. Persist daily. Every morning upon waking and every night before sleep, return to this same scene, this same feeling. Throughout the day, whenever you remember, briefly enter that feeling state. Do not waver. Do not question how it will unfold. Your only job is to maintain the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This persistence is critical for etching the impression onto your subconscious. 5. Revise your past. Optional, but powerful. If you have any past event that contradicts your desired future or creates doubt, take a moment to revise it in your imagination. Replay it, but change the outcome to a favorable one, feeling the relief of the new, positive memory. This cleanses the slate for your new creation. Timeline promise by consistently following is implementation ritual. By dwelling in the state of your wish fulfilled, within weeks, you will notice undeniable shifts. You will observe circumstances rearranging themselves, doors opening, and opportunities appearing that were previously unimaginable. The physical manifestation of your deepest desires will begin to unfold before your very eyes, proving the absolute truth of these principles. Belief challenges resolved. You once thought, "It's too hard to change my thinking." But now you understand it requires discipline, yes, but it is far simpler and more powerful than endlessly suffering in an unwanted reality. You thought, "My past defines me," but now you know that revision proves your past is fluid, a story you can rewrite, and only your present assumption truly defines you. You believed, "I'm not powerful enough," but now you realize that you are imagination itself, the operant power, the very God of your world, limitless in your creative capacity. You once felt, "Only special people can do this," but I have shown you that this law applies to everyone without exception, for it is the fundamental law of all existence. And you certainly thought, reality is external and fixed, but you now grasp that reality is a malleable projection of your inner state, ready to conform to your deepest convictions. Open loops closed. Do you now see how your thought creates physical reality? It is not mere thought, but thought imbued with feeling and sustained as an assumption in the fourth dimension, the realm of all possibilities. This is where all events exist as facts, waiting for your consciousness to occupy them. And no, it is not your fault if things go wrong in a judgmental sense, but rather a perfect reflection of your previously unexamined inner states. You are the operant power, and with this knowledge, you are now empowered to choose. This is why you must always assume the wish fulfilled, living from the end, the speed of manifestation. It is instantaneous in imagination, and its physical unfolding is as rapid as your inner conviction allows. And the real secret to consistent manifestation, the one you sought. It is not a trick, but a profound, unwavering, persistent occupancy of the state of the wish fulfilled, living from the end until your inner reality becomes your outer experience. Final challenge choice tonight. You stand at a precipice. You have been given the keys to the kingdom, the ultimate truth about your divine creative power. Will you continue to live by accident, to be swept along by circumstances, and believe in the limitations of the visible world? Or will you claim your birthright? Will you choose to consciously design your reality, to assume the state of your wish fulfilled, and manifest the life you were always meant to live? The choice is yours, and yours alone. Repeat a command. Do not let these truths fade from your mind. Play this teaching again tomorrow. Return to these principles daily until they are ingrained in your very being, until conscious creation becomes as natural as breathing. The more you immerse yourself, the more effortlessly your desires will manifest. Remember who you are, for your imagination is God. Now, listen closely, because we've laid the bedrock of creation. The undeniable truth that your imagination is God, that feeling is the secret, and that occupying the state of the wish fulfilled is your supreme act of power. But here's where many men like you who have achieved all the world deems successful, still find themselves at a crossroads. They apply these principles, they manifest fortunes, they build empires, they acquire everything they once yearned for, and yet they stare at the ceiling at 3 a.m. with a cold, hollow ache in their chest. They wonder, is this truly all there is? Why do I feel so empty when I have everything I thought I wanted? The answer lies in a deeper understanding of what it means to truly be fulfilled and how to weaponize these principles, not us for getting, but for being. We must now move beyond merely manifesting desires to manifesting contentment itself. The inevitability of fulfillment, trusting the bridge of incidents. Many individuals grasp the idea of living from the end, of assuming the wish fulfilled. Yet they secretly fret over the how. They plant the seed, yes, but then they hover over it, poking the soil, questioning if it's growing fast enough, trying to force its emergence. This impatience, this anxious interference with the natural unfolding, is precisely what delays or even aborts the manifestation. I remember a time, years after my Barbados experience, when I felt a deep pull to move to Los Angeles and expand my lectures. I had assumed the state of lecturing to vast audiences there, had felt the California sun on my face, the energy of the receptive crowds. Yet the practicalities seemed overwhelming. I had responsibilities in New York, commitments. The how was a tangled mess of logistics, but Abdullah had taught me something crucial. Once the seed is planted, the subconscious mind, being infinite intelligence, devises the perfect, most natural bridge of incidents to bring it to pass. My task was not to construct that bridge, but to walk across it in faith. For weeks, I simply maintained the feeling of already being established in Los Angeles, lecturing to thousands. I did not move a single finger in the outer world to force a booking or arrange a move. I would simply fall asleep imagining the scent of eucalyptus, the specific sound of the Hollywood Bowl, the congratulatory handshakes after a successful lecture. One afternoon, a prominent spiritual organization from Los Angeles unexpectedly contacted me. They had heard of my work, offered me a full lecture series, complete with relocation assistance and an audience guarantee. Every detail was arranged, every obstacle seamlessly removed. It was as if the universe itself had paved the path, because I had surrendered the how to its infinite wisdom, resting solely in the what, the accomplished fact. The subconscious mind, once deeply impressed with the feeling of the wish fulfilled, knows the most efficient, harmonious way to bring that state into your three-dimensional world. It doesn't need your conscious planning, your intricate strategizing, or your frantic efforts. In fact, your attempts to force the how often introduce resistance, creating detours and delays. The subconscious operates on the principle of least action. It will always seek the most natural and effortless path to manifest your assumed reality. Your role is to impress the desire, then step back and allow. This is not passivity. It is profound trust in the divine intelligence within you. Stop. Hear these words carefully. Are you constantly forcing situations, pushing against closed doors, exhausting yourself with intricate plans, only to find yourself no closer to that feeling of true contentment? Most men fall into this trap. They believe effort equals merit, that struggle is a prerequisite for success. They are the ones who chase, perpetually believing that more doing will bring them more having. But the master of conscious creation understands that true power lies in being. He plants the seed of his desire, saturates it with the feeling of fulfillment, and then releases it to the care of the infinite intelligence within. He knows that the most direct path, the effortless path, will be revealed. He walks the bridge of incidents when it appears, not building it himself. He waits not in anticipation, but in certain knowledge. Repeat this 10 times before sleep tonight in a deeply drowsy state. I rest in the certainty of my fulfilled desire. The path unfolds naturally, for the divine intelligence within me creates the perfect bridge, the divine indifference. Releasing the outcome, here's the brutal truth most teachers won't tell you. Your desperate clinging to a manifestation, your anxious monitoring of its arrival, is often